I've set up this table in a, very similarly to how you would set it up on a shoot, or when you're installing an exhibition, or at an event, or a moving image. It's got some tools here. Normally I would have more than this. It's got everything that I kind of want to play with. The story that we want to create is going to use some of these things, not all of these things. But the point being is when you take things to a shoot or to install, you need to take way more than you are actually going to use, because you just don't know when you might use it. And the time taken to actually get up, go and get something, come back and use it is, you may not even have those minutes to spare. And so what has to happen as soon as you get to the set is you need to lay it all out on one table or two tables or three tables. I've been on set before where I've had about 6 or 7 trestle tables full, and you really need some kind of order to that process. So you need all the forms in one place, all of the embellishments in another place, all of the utensils in another place, all of the tools of trade in another place. And so you have a very organised working place. And so this becomes your workstation, and it's there purely for function. And a successful shoot is actually being able to put aside in a group all of the things that you haven't used. And if you've got an abundance of things you haven't used, that's actually a successful shoot. One of the most important things is that when you working in a crew, in a team, you allow the person to create their magic, and then if the next step is you, then you need to come in and then create your magic. And it's about the person being allowed the time and the space to do what they want to do, and then we start to frame up the shot and we realise, what's working, what's not working, how do we achieve the shot. And if we were, for example, shooting a product here, then
I would imagine that product sitting here, perhaps, and maybe that just tucking around.
Yeah. If, as an example of that, this was a shoot for a beauty product, and it had these particular ingredients in it, and we really wanted to show those ingredients. Then we've got this beauty around us, and for example, potentially it is a portrait shot for a magazine. Then what we might do is build up something like this in the centre. If we got down like this, we might decide on the day these need to be slightly shorter. Because if we're shooting it from straight on and it's a portrait, then we haven't got enough background. So we might need those to be slightly shorter, and then we're going to put what we are, the product, on those forms.
Okay, so I'm just cutting down these beautiful grasses. I'm still trying to keep the movement that they hold. This one, of course, has a really beautiful natural arch, and I don't want everything standing up straight. It's just a little bit too obvious. These grasses grow on the bush, slightly arching. Nothing's ever too straight, so I never do that with my arrangements. Nothing's ever too straight. So try and think about how things naturally grow and use that to their advantage, because that's how they are always going to look their best. Nothing's too straight. And the natural movement of the leaves and stuff as well, so the curls on the ends of them, use that as part of, the space that it's filling up. And again, like the texture and stuff is a big part of that. This vase here has a really rough texture and it's slightly darker in colour, so that has a real visual weight to it, much heavier than this clay or this clay here. So that one can go at the back. We don't want it to outweigh the other ones, and the product, being the hero, has to be the lightest at the front.
If we were creating something for an organic beauty shoot, all of these plants would be in that particular product. So that's why it would be used in that sense. As I said before, Katie gets these vessels made up especially for her. I've got this gorgeous plinth in here. Now, this is just a very kind of basic look at a first draft. If you were an author, this would be a very first draft, because what needs to happen from now on is it needs to be finessed. But you can see already it's quite beautiful and whimsical, it's fresh. So if I pretend that I have a pink flower that's the product, I'm going to put that into the set, and so you can see how it heroes. So what I want to do here is I want to make sure that I've really got that in the middle, because the human eye loves symmetry. More than anything, loves symmetry. If something's asymmetrical, you need a few identifiers that are symmetrical. So if this is the product that we do not want to camouflage, we want the product to hero in a still shoot. This is advertising, not editorial, as an example. So if I put this here, then you can see that it's in the center, it's on a platform, it's surrounded by the plants that are in the product, and it's in a hero position. Keeping in mind that the copy, the name of the product needs to go somewhere. Now, these beautiful little bits here can always have copy over it that are the colour of the product. So I think that what happened today was pretty usual of a lot of shoots. We prepare everything, we have an idea of what we're doing, and then something like this comes completely out of the blue because it actually feels right on the day. And if you had a look at everything that we bought here today, which is almost a semi-trailer load of flowers and props and things, and we ended up with just the joy and the beauty of some delicate pieces. And I think that that's very evident of being able to be agile and flexible in the workplace, and being able to kind of just go with what's working, and what you're feeling.
Yeah, and it's that thing as well, like, you know, the whole process evolved, and so, you know, it was really good to have all of that product there, but pairing it right back to these, you know, few things that we've used has been really nice, and it's worked perfectly.
And we had some really magical moments where Katie turned up with a beautiful magenta flower, and I had the exact ribbon for that flower. And we could have used that, but for some reason we didn't, because this is what we ended up with because of our working together. And I think that is all part of it. You get a result of something no matter what is around you and no matter what resources you have. And I think that, you know, that's a lesson to learn. You kind of look at things, it's so beautiful, but you know it's not quite right for this right now.
No,
it's
and
got
unfortunately you have to leave it behind.
Yeah, you have to leave it. You have to let it go.
Yeah, for the sake of, you know, what you're trying to put across.
Yeah.